Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my brand new show. Somebody's got to do it. And, you know, I'm JD. I'm JD Nero, aka He Who Pods. And you see all the lights here in the glasses. That means I'm also aka Rearview Mirror. I've been on quite the hiatus, and it felt right to just start fresh. It felt to me like there was a lot that was not being said in the public, both in just plain old news and in opinions and thoughts that needed to be shared. And so I'm here to do a mix of both. And so some of this stuff will be very familiar if you've been on this channel or if you used to watch the other podcast. And some stuff will not return. And as we continue to do this show, of course, as anything else, we'll fine tooth it and figure it out. But for now, this will be a show to give both opinions and information. And unlike some other places, I'm going to do my best to make it clear when I am giving information versus when I'm giving an opinion, because they should be separated, in my opinion. I see that a lot of people doing the quote unquote news are blending their opinions in with the information. So it's not really clear which piece of this is information and which piece of this is just plain old opinion. I don't have any problem with people giving both the information and their opinion, but I think it gets murky when you're not clear on what part is the opinion and what part is the information. And so I'm going to do my best to separate the two. Let me bring this down just a little bit. All right. So let's start. There's a lot going on in the news, in the media, on social media. And I will not come on this platform and speak about the president every time you see me. My goal is to speak about things that you may not know, things that are important in the US and abroad. It will not always be a United States centered show. And so if I think that things are important, they will be brought here to discuss as well. And so tonight, or rather this morning, because it is 6:53 a.m. right now, this morning we're going to discuss quite a wide range of topics, and we'll see how that goes. Someone already asked me, who I was talking to, about doing this new show. How long will the show be? And my answer is, I don't know. It's going to take however long it takes, depending on the week of topics that we have to discuss, because my aim is to do this every week. So that's how it's going to go. So let's start. I've said many times on many platforms that I love ice cream. Man, I love ice cream. And if you know that, then you probably know what type of ice cream I really, really like. I like the crazy concoctions from places like Cold Stone and Ben & Jerry's. But unfortunately, I won't be having Ben & Jerry's again anytime soon. Why? Because there's a lot going on with Ben & Jerry's. And so recently, Jerry Greenfield of Ben & Jerry's, he is the Jerry of Ben & Jerry's, he resigned. And I will tell you exactly why. This is a quote directly from Jerry Greenfield, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. Jerry said, "Standing up for the values of justice, equity, and our shared humanity has never been more important, and yet Ben & Jerry's has been silenced, sidelined for fear of upsetting those in power. It's easy to stand up and speak out when there is nothing at risk. The real test of values is when times are challenging and you have something to lose." This is from Democracy Now! It says here, Jerry Greenfield is resigning from Ben & Jerry's after nearly 50 years at the iconic ice cream company he co-founded with childhood friend Ben Cohen, calling it, quote, "one of the hardest and most painful decisions I've ever made." Greenfield said in a resignation letter that the parent company, Unilever, had worked to silence the founders from speaking out on social issues. Ben & Jerry's was sold to Unilever in 2000 with the understanding that it would largely operate independently, letting the outspoken founders continue to champion various political causes. Quote, that independence, the very basis of our sale to Unilever, is gone, Greenfield says. And it's happening at a time when our country's current administration is attacking civil rights, voting rights, the rights of immigrants, women, and the LGBTQ community. Last November, Ben and Jerry filed a lawsuit against Unilever for silencing its statements in support of Palestinian refugees. In 2021, the company withdrew its products from Israeli settlements. I would like to say it's a sad day. It's a sad day for many reasons, but it's a sad day because Ben & Jerry's is probably my favorite pint-sold ice cream. And it's a sad day because companies are being silenced along with many other people, which we'll get to in a little while. And if you know Ben & Jerry's, you know that they constantly speak out against things that they feel are not right, unfair, etc. And if your boss is telling you to shut up, then maybe it's time to go somewhere else. And so I would like to salute him for doing this and say that if that's what's going on, I'm going to put my dollars where my mouth is. And I will not be buying Ben & Jerry's anymore. My last pint was just the other day. I knew I was going to do this, and I said, well, let me enjoy one last pint. And I got a Netflix and chilled. It was delicious, but sad at the same time. Speaking of things that are sad and bosses silencing people, you probably know already that Jimmy Kimmel was suspended. You probably know that Jimmy Kimmel is coming back tonight. And that's all good. But first, let's talk about what exactly happened and what exactly was said, because there seems to be some confusion on what was said and what was not said. So let's go to it. I have some things I would like to play for you guys. Starting with, what did Jimmy Kimmel actually say?
He hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
Those were the heinous words that got Jimmy Kimmel suspended. Or perhaps it was someone else's words. Perhaps it was someone else's words altogether. What do I mean by that? Allow me to reintroduce myself. Here you go.
The conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. Frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion.
That was Brendan Carr, okay, who is the chair of broadcast regulator, the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. And as you heard there, he gave some pretty clear threats. And this comes from BBC. BBC says hours after Mr. Carr made his initial remarks about Kimmel's monologue, Nexstar said it would not air Kimmel's show for the foreseeable future. Sinclair followed suit, and ABC announced that it would indefinitely suspend the program and demand an apology from Kimmel, as well as donations to Kirk's nonprofit organization, Turning Point USA. It also says here, Mr. Carr thanked Nexstar for, for doing the right thing, and said he hoped other broadcasters would follow its lead. Nexstar is currently seeking FCC approval for its planned $6.2 billion merger with Tegna. Okay, and just to bring it to today, Disney says, quote, "We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached a decision to return the show on Tuesday." And that's swell. That's really cool, right? Really cool that they did that. But what's not cool, now this is my opinion. I want to be clear that this is my opinion. What's not cool is what was done here. What was done here was bullying. What was done here was a violation. And what was done here was a clear threat from the FCC to this company which is seeking a merger. Now, Carr has since tried to walk back some of those statements.
A lot of Democrats out there that are engaged in a campaign of projection and distortion. And distortion is they're completely misrepresenting the work of the FCC and what we've been doing. I saw there was a letter from some Senate Democrats that said the FCC threatened to revoke the license of Disney and ABC if they didn't fire Jimmy Kimmel, and that did not happen in any way, shape, or form. And what I spoke about last week was that when concerns are raised about news distortion, there's an easy way for parties to address that and work that out. And in the main, that takes place between local television stations that are licensed by the FCC and what we call national programmers like Disney. They work that out, and there doesn't need to be any involvement of the FCC. Now, if they don't, there's a way that's not as easy, which is someone can file a complaint at the FCC, and then the FCC, by law, as set up by Congress, has to adjudicate that complaint. And what I've been very clear in the context of the Kimmel episode is the FCC, and myself in particular, have expressed no view on the ultimate merits had something like that been filed.
As you can see, he's full of shit because he's trying to walk back what he said last week and quote unquote explain it. This is not my opinion. This is what the man said. You heard the audio. He's trying to walk it back. He's full of shit. And so what's happening is there's this thing going on in the country where I guess the best way is to let V for Vendetta tell you, but is this thing happening in this country where, one, you can say whatever the fuck you want. But people seem to forget that if you say whatever the fuck you want, there will be footage or documentation of that. And footage and documentation to prove otherwise. And I think that some of the people in this country are forgetting that. The president, Carr, and plenty of others, where we're just taking things and saying whatever we want as if there's no way to prove this. I think, it's my opinion, that these people have forgotten that these other means exist, that there's documentation, that there's video footage, audio clips that prove the other side of what you're saying. I think they forget that because they just say these things like they didn't say something else prior. Or as if there's not a document that can be pulled up and proven that what they're saying is complete horseshit. I think they're forgetting. But I think there's also a larger problem happening here. And for that, I show you V for Vendetta, one of my favorite movies and a very sad part of the movie, which explains a lot. And I think, my opinion, it explains some of the things that are happening in this country right before your very eyes.
I remember how the meaning of words began to change. How unfamiliar words like collateral and rendition became frightening. While things like Norsefire and the Articles of Allegiance became powerful. I remember how different became dangerous. I still don't understand it. Why they hate us so much.
Now, let's keep it on politics for just a moment. And let's go to a foreign land. go to Nepal. I know, it's kind of random, right? But not really. This article is from NPR.org. I would like to read to you something from this article here. The headline reads, How Gen Z-led protests put Nepal's first prime minister in power. Kind of crazy, right? Let's talk a little bit about it. It says here, Nepal's government is only the latest in South Asia to be overthrown by protesters, and it underscores the profound generational change shaking the world's most populous region and testing governments' ability to meet their citizens' expectations. The turmoil in Nepal began in earnest on September 8th, when police in the capital, Kathmandu, opened fire on anti-corruption protesters as they tried to breach parliament walls. Mobs retailed by torching buildings, looting banks and shops, and attacking politicians in their homes. The violence took out more than 70 people and wounded thousands more, according to Nepal police spokesperson Ramesh Thapa. Prime Minister Ali, last name, resigned on September 9th and has not been seen publicly since. The army imposed a curfew. By September 12th, the country had a new interim leader, Karkai. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. The 73-year-old was Nepal's first female chief justice and is now its first female prime minister. Her appointment by Nepal's president followed online polls on the chat portal Discord, where thousands supported her, citing her judicial record of taking on the corrupt and the elite. Quote, our movement was motivated by two things, says a civil engineer who participated in the protests: unemployment and government corruption. For months, young Nepalese, or Nepalis, not sure how to pronounce it, sought to highlight the stunning contrast between the country's masses and its wealthy elites, putting together montages of social media images and videos uploaded by the children of prominent politicians. One image showed a young woman posing with a Prada bag worth $2,600 in a country where the average yearly income in Nepal is less than $1,500 a year. The campaign, using variations of hashtags like Nepo Kids, came amid mounting frustrations with politicians who are widely seen as using public money to enrich themselves. Quote, over the last 10 years, all three individuals who have traded the prime minister's chair have had pretty serious corruption allegations against them, says Ashish Pradhan, an expert on Nepal at the International Crisis Group, a think tank. And this goes on, but I just want to explain to y'all that this is something that I'm not seeing anywhere. And it's something that should probably be highlighted, in my opinion. Because here is a group of young folks, Gen Z, by the way. Gen Z are the people born between 1997 and 2012. Okay? 1997 and 2012. Those young folks are the ones who took over this government and put somebody new up in there. That should tell y'all something. Look at what's happening in another part of the world while we're dealing with the nonsense here. These young folks are not scared. They are taking action, not just posting hashtags. They are protesting in the streets, doing lots of things, as I read to you there in the article, because they want to make right of what they feel is wrong. I think that's powerful. I think that's important. And I think it's weird that that's not something that's being highlighted more. If you saw it, feel free to put it in the comments, but I haven't really seen anything about this except one person I follow who posted about it. So I thought it was worth a share, and I'm not going to say much more there. Let's move on to our next topic, also about Gen Zers. So there's a new dating trend in the Gen Z world, and there's a debate going on about whether it's cheating or not cheating. Let's talk about it. It's called monkey barring. or monkey branching, which is the act of clinging to one partner while lining up another behind your current flame's back. To be clear, this is different than polyamory, this article says from the Post. It says, but don't confuse it with Gen Z's trendy polyamory, which is consensual and above board. Monkey barring or monkey branching, experts warn, is all about sneakiness and betrayal. Quote, monkey barring and polyamory are fundamentally different, explained Angelica Koch, relationship expert at Miami? I don't know. As per Vice, quote, monkey barring is based on codependency and is arguably a form of cheating, while polyamory is based on the ability to love several people in a romantic way at once and isn't cheating because everyone involved consented, she said. Koch further explained, people who do this often lack emotional growth because they are constantly moving through life in a fear-based manner to avoid the hard work it takes when healing from wounds in a past relationship. There's also an article about it in USA Today that has some different quotes I thought were interesting and worth sharing. It says here, the behavior isn't necessarily new, according to Amanda Miller, professor of sociology at the University of Indianapolis. Quote, I'm pretty sure this might be biblical, Miller says, as of when we keep a potential next partner in the wings. But the phenomena is more prevalent right now as Gen Z struggles to find connections in real life and the rise of dating apps. It says, quote, something where you can swipe and swipe and swipe seemingly forever makes it seem there is this infinite supply of partners, and there's not, Miller says. People monkey bar because they're seeking security, Miller says. They're avoiding the vulnerability that comes with leaving a relationship and being alone. There is a stability that comes with being able to say, I know I'm leaving this relationship, but I have something I'm going toward, Miller says. It says here, last thing, it says data from Match.com and Hinge find that young people are looking for serious relationships, but simultaneously reporting high levels of dating-related anxiety. As a result, Gen Z daters are more weary of commitment than older generations, and more daters are embracing the area in between hooking up and dating, or blurring the lines on their boundaries within a relationship. Monkey barring, the new dating trend in the Gen Z world. It's pretty wild. I don't have any thoughts on this one. I just thought it was interesting and worth sharing that this is a new thing going on. The Post article is from August, I believe. Yeah, August. And the USA Today article is September 19th. So yeah, it's going on. It's going on, and I thought it was worth sharing. People clinging from one to the other, holding on to one while swinging to the next. I don't think it's new either. I guess that I can say. I remember a comedian joked about that in the early 2000s, but he didn't call it that. He's just said that in his joke, he said women like to monkey bar. They'll stay in one relationship only till they can swing to the next one. But I don't think that was a thing at that time. It wasn't a term like this one is. Anyway, let's keep moving. So if you know me, you know I'm a fan of updating people on the latest work trends. There's a whole quiet quitting family, and there's a new one, folks. This comes from The Hill. It says, quiet cracking is the newest term for a workplace problem, and it's pretty pervasive, experts say. It says every day you wake up, go to your job, and complete your assigned task to the best of your ability. But have you been quiet cracking this whole time? What is quiet cracking, they ask. Quiet cracking is the latest buzzword to describe a lack of fulfillment at work, often as it pertains to job satisfaction, workloads, or the potential for growth, among other factors. And unlike quiet quitting, it might not necessarily manifest in an employee's performance, just their happiness. Quote, I mostly see it in my students who are graduating college and starting their careers with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, said Wayne Hawkwater, a senior professor at Florida State University's College of Business. Then 3 or 5 years in, they begin to ask, am I really enjoying this? Do I think this is the path to get me where I want to get? It's not just younger members of the workforce who feel, oh, let me get my phone off the camera. It's not just younger members of the workforce who feel disengaged either. A recent survey from Talent LMS, a company that offers training resources for businesses, found that over half of the respondents experienced quiet cracking at their job, with about 20% saying they experienced it constantly. A 2025 report from Gallup included nearly identical findings, indicating that 52% of employees in North America were not engaged, quote unquote, in their jobs, and 17% were actively disengaged. The same report indicated that disruptions caused by the pandemic, rather than the expectations of any one age group, were a major factor. Quote, it's not just an entry to mid-level phenomenon. I don't think that's the case at all, Hawkwater told Nexstar. I think it's pretty pervasive at all levels. I think this is really interesting. Quiet cracking. Yeah, definitely seen it. Definitely been a part of it. I've definitely at one point felt like this job is driving me nuts. I'm very unhappy. Perhaps this is not the place for me to be. I know I definitely have felt that before. Have you? Have you felt the feelings, the symptoms of quiet cracking before? Are you feeling it now? Let me know in the comments. All right. There's something new on the horizon that has nothing to do with jobs. It has to do with you and me and our personality types. For a long time, we've all known about introverts and extroverts. But there's some new bullshit out there. Oops, did I give my opinion too soon? My bad! Introverts don't thrive on constant social stimulation or solitude, but instead connect deeply and authentically one-on-one with people they truly resonate with, while often feeling disconnected from groups or groupthink. They are independent, charismatic observers who value genuine connection and authenticity, but resist group, consensus, and validation. Okay, this one says, key traits include independent thinking and emotional self-sufficiency, selective social connections rather than wide networks, creativity, resilience, and an ability to thrive outside conventional group norms. There you have it. It says the introvert personality enjoys social interactions but often observes rather than actively participates. They form deep, meaningful bonds with a select few and prefer solitude or small gatherings over large group events. Independent and emotionally self-reliant, introverts tend to think outside mainstream social expectations. The personality type is not antisocial. Instead, it reflects a preference for intentional, focused connections rather than following conventional norms. And so there it is, folks. Otrovert. This just some new bullshit in my opinion. I never subscribed to introvert, extrovert, introvert, ambivert. Yo, personally, for me, I feel, in my opinion, that we just like to find labels to attach ourselves to. Oh no, because I only feel blue. I never like red. I'm just blue, or I'm leftist, or I'm Republican, or we're people. We're humans. You don't have to claim any gang. You don't have to rep any set. You can just be you. But we have this thing, in my opinion, where we want to have something to cling to. We want to have things to attach ourselves to. Yes, what are your 5 love languages? No, we all need all of them at different times. If you're sick and I try to bring you medicine, you're not going to say, "No, I only accept human touch. I only like touch." No, you're going to say, "Thank you for the medicine. I appreciate it. Thank you. I felt like shit." So in my opinion, this is just some new bullshit to attach yourselves to. And that's fine. That's your right as a human. If you want to attach yourself to another term, then go for it. You can be whatever you want, liberal, activist, rebel, whatever you want to be, Republican, Democrat, ambivert, extrovert, introvert, jadavert, whatever you want. Just keep making up shit to attach yourself to. If that's what you like. I think it's dumb. This is my opinion. I don't think we need to keep finding new things to attach ourselves to and to assign ourselves to. Yeah, because me, I'm an extrovert, so I got to be outside every day. And you just like being outside every day, and that's okay. You don't need a term to marry yourself to say that you are for always and ever an extrovert. You could just be whatever. You don't got to be any one of these things. You don't have to be Republican no matter what. You don't have to be Democrat no matter what. You don't have to like only 2 of the 5 love languages no matter. You're allowed to be a human and be all things at different times. It's okay. We don't have to be married to one term. I'm not going to marry myself to one term. I think this is just some new nonsense. But if you like it, go for it. Put it in the comments. Let me know which one of the many terms you are. Put all your terms in the comments. All the things you've married yourself to, you could put them in the comments. Okay? I'm JD. This has been Somebody's Got to Do It. I'm out.